The Supreme Court chamber was unusually packed that morning. Reporters filled every seat in the gallery, legal interns stood shoulder to shoulder along the walls, and even veteran clerks seemed uneasy. Something was different. Everyone felt it. At precisely 9 a.m., Attorney General Pam Bondi stepped into the room. Calm, composed, dressed in a navy suit that projected authority, she carried a single leather folder under her arm. No entourage, no fanfare, just silence and stares. At the bench sat Chief Justice John Roberts, his face a mask of practiced calm that barely concealed a simmering impatience. To his right, Justice Amy Coney Barrett leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, her expression unreadable, until a subtle smirk crept across her lips. It was the kind of smile that said, "We already know how this ends." "Ms. Bondi," Roberts began, his voice clipped and confident. "We hope you've brought something more compelling than what your office submitted on paper." A few soft chuckles echoed through the chamber. Bondi didn't flinch. She approached the podium, placed her folder carefully, and looked directly at the justices. "Your Honors," she began, voice steady, "the evidence we've gathered is both comprehensive and constitutionally." "That's not the word I'd use," Barrett interrupted sharply. "The filing reads like a thriller novel. Heavy on drama, light on facts." A few eyes darted across the gallery. Some laughed awkwardly. Others shifted in their seats. This wasn't normal, not here. Not in the highest court of the land. Roberts leaned forward, interlacing his fingers. "Perhaps you can explain why we shouldn't dismiss this case outright. It wastes the court's time." Bondi inhaled slowly. She had expected this. "With the court's permission, I intend to present our findings in full." Barrett scoffed audibly. "We've read your findings, Ms. Bondi. They amount to conspiracy theories dressed in legalese." Another awkward silence. Even among seasoned legal observers, this level of hostility from the bench was unsettling. Still, Bondi pressed on. "Then allow me to begin with precedent." Roberts raised a hand. "Ms. Bondi, let me be clear. This court has a legacy of upholding the law, not indulging in theatrics. You may be new to arguments of this scale, but surely someone in your office could have warned you this case is unserious." It was an insult, veiled in formal language, but unmistakable. Her credentials, her competence, her right to even be here, called into question in front of a national audience. And yet she didn't blink. "With all due respect, Chief Justice," she said, her voice slightly firmer, "I have the floor." That sentence cut through the room like a blade. The smirk disappeared from Barrett's face. Roberts froze. "You have the floor," Roberts replied after a tense pause, "at this court's discretion." Bondi met his gaze. "Then I trust this court still honors its own procedures, including the right of counsel to be heard without mockery." The room went dead silent. For the first time, the power dynamic shifted. In that moment, Pam Bondi wasn't just an attorney. She was the voice of accountability. She wasn't intimidated by the marble pillars or the weight of the robes across from her. She had come armed not just with documents, but with the truth. What happened next, no one in that room was prepared for. Not the justices. Not the reporters. And certainly not John Roberts or Amy Coney Barrett. Because in less than an hour, everything would change. Pam Bondi stood taller now, the weight of the moment sharpening her presence. The gallery watched in silence, the earlier snickering now replaced with uneasy anticipation. "As I was explaining," she continued, "this case isn't about politics. It's about accountability, specifically judicial accountability, which, as your own precedents affirm, does not exempt even this court." Justice Barrett shifted in her seat. For the first time, she looked uncomfortable. Bondi reached into her folder and produced a slim document. "In Thompson v. FEC, Justice Barrett, you wrote that no office, however revered, is above constitutional scrutiny. That precedent forms the basis of our submission." Barrett blinked. A subtle twitch in her expression betrayed recognition and concern. "And Chief Justice Roberts," Bondi added, turning toward him, "during your confirmation you stated plainly, judges are servants of the law, not its masters. Do those words still stand today?" Roberts narrowed his eyes. "Ms. Bondi, this is not a confirmation hearing." "No, Your Honor," she said calmly. "It's far more consequential than that." The silence in the room thickened. Bondi placed the document on the podium. "We are submitting evidence, some of which was obtained under seal, of consistent communication between seated justices and third-party entities with direct interest in pending cases. Murmurs erupted. Barrett leaned forward. "You're suggesting what exactly?" "I'm not suggesting," Bondi replied. "I'm asserting, backed by fact, that this court has failed to recuse itself in matters where financial and ideological interests were clearly present." Roberts cut in sharply. "These are dangerous accusations." "Only if they're false," Bondi replied, never raising her voice. "But if they're true, then the danger lies not in the accusation, but in ignoring the evidence." She lifted a second document, marked with the Department of Justice seal. This memo includes a communication log from encrypted channels, subpoenaed under FISA authority. The original investigation targeted foreign influence. But during that surveillance, the agencies uncovered repeated contacts between certain members of this court and outside lobbyists. Barrett tried to speak, but Roberts raised a hand. For once, he wanted to hear more. Bondi continued. "We traced financial transactions from shell organizations linked to the Westmoreland Foundation, an entity with documented history of political advocacy, and then matched those with speaking fees, book deals, and unexplained asset increases." Reporters were furiously scribbling notes now. Some began typing directly into live update feeds. The weight of the documents Bondi placed on the evidence table echoed with each drop. "I have more," she said, reaching for one last sealed envelope. "This contains verified testimony from 2 former Supreme Court clerks. Both allege they were pressured to delete or conceal information related to recusals and external communications." A hush fell again over the chamber. Barrett's hands gripped the armrests of her chair. Roberts stared down at the envelope as if it might explode. Bondi didn't gloat. She didn't raise her voice. Her every word was a scalpel, not a sword. "We are not here to destroy this institution," she said. "We are here to preserve it. The Constitution gives us not only the right, but the duty to hold power accountable." She took a half step back from the podium. The tension in the room wasn't merely legal, it was historical. For the first time in recent memory, 2 of the nation's most powerful jurists found themselves on defense. No one moved. No one laughed. And somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, "This changes everything." The Supreme Court chamber, once ruled by gavel and precedent, now belonged to silence and disbelief. Pam Bondi had laid the groundwork. What followed was the collapse of illusion. From the rear entrance of the courtroom, a tall man in a charcoal suit stepped forward. "Your Honors," Bondi announced. "This is Special Agent Marco Ramirez of the FBI's Public Integrity Section." The agent approached the bench with purpose, carrying a sealed tablet and 2 sealed envelopes. "We have corroborating evidence, recently declassified, that supports MS. Bondi's claims. This includes encrypted messages, financial records, and sworn testimony from multiple sources." Justice Barrett opened her mouth, but no sound came out. "Your Honors," Ramirez said formally, "the evidence indicates probable cause for violations under 18 U.S.C. Section 201, bribery of public officials, and obstruction of justice." Gasps echoed throughout the room. Cameras clicked. The court clerk dropped his pen. Chief Justice Roberts gripped the bench as if trying to steady the earth beneath him. "This is a circus," he muttered. "A political ambush." Bondi didn't flinch. "This is a reckoning," she corrected, her voice steady. "It's not politics. It's principle." Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson stood. "This court cannot ignore credible allegations, regardless of who they name. If this evidence is verified, recusal is the minimum step." Agent Ramirez opened one envelope. "With authorization from the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, we have here federal arrest warrants for Chief Justice John Roberts and Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett." The words landed like cannon fire. Barrett visibly recoiled. "You're arresting sitting justices?" Roberts snapped. "No one," Bondi replied, "is above the law. Not even those meant to uphold it." Ramirez placed the warrants on the bench. All 8 remaining justices sat frozen. Some looked down. Some looked at each other. None spoke. Suddenly, a woman stood from the 3rd row. "My name is Rebecca Carlton. I was a clerk for Justice Barrett. I was ordered to delete communication logs from February 8th. I refused. And I have submitted a sworn affidavit detailing everything." Barrett's jaw trembled. "You're lying," she whispered. But no one believed her anymore. One by one, court officers moved to secure the documents. Ramirez motioned to 2 agents, who took position beside the justices. Then Bondi turned to face the gallery, not with triumph but resolve. "This is not the fall of the court," she said. "This is its rebirth. The Constitution isn't just ink and parchment. It's people willing to defend it, even when it's uncomfortable." As Roberts and Barrett were escorted out, the weight of centuries of untouchable power seemed to shift. The courtroom, once a sanctuary of unchecked authority, had become a crucible of truth. No applause followed. No outrage erupted. Just quiet reckoning. History had been made, and Pam Bondi hadn't just survived the storm. She was the storm,